Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, Competitor IT Company Steals Our Articles. I owned an IT company, we'll call it Uber Tech, that strictly manages business networks, no website development, graphics, etc. One of my employees was tackling an interesting support request with instructions for making changes to a company's website. This happens from time to time where a customer gets confused with their various tech vendors or assumes that we provide all tech-related services. Being in earshot, I can tell that my employee's call was quickly escalating with a frustrated person on the other end, and he has already offered to pass the call off to his manager, me. Me, Uber Tech, how can I help you? Upset off website owner, web owner, I want to know what is going on here. I don't know you are, I don't know why you're calling me, and I don't know why you have my support information. Me, sir, to be honest, I don't know who you are, why we are calling you, and why we have your support information either, but together I think we can figure this out. I understand that you have a website and made a request for some changes. Who hosts your website? Web owner, derp company. On their support website there are instructions to send support requests, I followed them and now I have you calling me with my support information. Me, sir, I definitely want to get down to the bottom of this. We do not even offer website services. If you would please work with me, I am sure we can get an answer. What I want to do is have you share your screen with me and then show me what you did to request support. I had him run our remote control software. He then proceeded to navigate to DerpCo's support website, support.derpco.com, navigated through the customer self-service pages to a knowledge base article, KB, on how to submit a support. He pulled up this specific KB article and I was staring at a verbatim copy of an article that I had written on our own support site. There were no changes to the article including the step to email your support request to, and it was my company's email address right there. Me, thank you for taking the time to show me this, I think I found the problem. Notice the email address in the instructions, it is telling you to email ubertech.com, that is us. Now, please allow me to show you something. I then scrolled down to the bottom of DerpCo's plagiarized support article and noted the creation date, 2007. I then navigated to our company support website, support.ubertech.com, and navigated to our own matching article. We both confirmed that it was the same article and I showed him the creation date of our article, 2005. Web owner, oh, look at that. Me, I think it is safe to say that DerpCo has stolen our content, did not even update the instructions, misleading you to send a support request to us. Web owner, I am sure you have a few things to take care of with DerpCo. I would appreciate it if you do not mention us when you call them. Me, of course sir. Thank you for your time with this. I immediately searched DerpCo's support website looking for more of our stolen content, found a total of 5 articles, and promptly printed them out and saved copies as PDF. So what to do in this situation? Do I call the owner of DerpCo? This is a small town, so I needed to be clever and not taint my own image. How do I get revenge? Hire a lawyer, leave the articles as is and hope more support requests come to us that can bring us business. Revenge unleashed. No, I wrote a press release. News release date, for immediate release. Title, Uber Tech endorsed by local competitor. I got some great kudos from local businesses. One client in particular was rolling. 2 days later I get an email from the owner of DerpCo. I would appreciate it if you were to remove the press release from your website. This is a small town and it is just not good business. I went to their support site and still found 3 articles from our company. I wrote back and told him that I would be happy to do so, but there are at least still 3 articles on their support site that need to be removed. 2 days later I got another email confirming that the articles were removed. Epilogue. In the end I took down our press release but still have a copy kept in our office and would tell this story our new employees. Next one is titled, Adios to the Neighborhood Rooster from Hell. I live in an urban area that has recently passed a backyard chicken ordinance allowing people to keep hens with a permit. The neighbors behind me moved out a few months ago and began renting their house. To everyone's horror, the new renters brought an assortment of creatures with them, including a number of chickens which began to roam freely around the neighborhood. I don't even know how you train these things to come back home, but whatever. My neighbor, Mary, blessed woman that she is, complained about the chickens being in her front yard, and eventually code enforcement explained to them that the hens could not free range across all of the neighborhood but would have to stay within their yard. Imagine their frustration. It gets worse. These people decide to try to get back at the neighborhood by bringing home the most confused rooster I have ever heard. The damn thing crows constantly, at all hours of the day and night. I had filed a complaint with the city but nothing came of it. Then one day, after a particularly difficult night full of loud crows, I reached out to Mary. She jumped right on it and reached out to her friend Mike at Code Enforcement. Well, Mike toured the property and discovered that they didn't even have a permit for the hens, never mind illegally keeping that god-awful rooster. Mike gave them a week to get rid of all of them. Hold up, what's this? Mike discovered additional code violations on the property? Yeah. So now the owners are going to have to pay to fix up the property which they've evidently left in shambles. Next one is titled, "A Petty Lowballer Has the Joke Turned on Him." So this happened yesterday. A friend of mine builds RC cars and sells them. He builds high-end cars and trucks that are pretty pricey. He had a guy hit him up and ask him some questions about a car. The car is worth $700 new and this one is completely upgraded. The lowballer offers $200, explaining how it's not actually new since the box is open. Keep in mind it's never been used, only upgraded. The lowballer knows this yet starts getting a bit rude when his offer was declined. So he says, "Fine, I'll give you $250 and that's it." My friend says, "Okay fine, I'll send you an address. Meet me there." At this point I had no idea what was going on. 20 minutes goes by and I ask my friend if we are going to leave soon to meet the guy. He says hell no and explains how the guy was being a jerk and being pushy trying to lowball. So he sent him the address of a local comedy club here in Los Angeles. Which is a funny idea already. But my friend took it up a notch. 15 minutes later my friend's phone rings and it's the lowballer. And he's asking why the address is a comedy club. My friend's response was, "Now walk inside and tell them your jokes." Needless to say the guy was upset. Hopefully a lesson in petty revenge was learned. Next one is titled, "Don't Mess with Servers or You Will Get Served." So me and my O went out to eat at one of our favorite restaurants. Not only is the food good but my best friend is a server there, so as well as getting to see her we might get a little perk here or there. This one night we went to eat, we noticed this particularly loud, obnoxious and clearly pretty drunk couple come in who were just complaining about everything, in between arguing with each other and the server, who happened to be my best friend. They had actually brought her close to tears and I was so upset for her. The thought came into my head before I could stop it. I had seen the car they arrived in. I asked my friend if I could have a doggy bag and as soon as I left the restaurant I covered their car with all of our leftovers. Okay, so that was the petty part, but now for the best bit. I called my friend after her shift to confess what I had done. Turns out the couple were so angry they called the police. I guess the police realized they were drunk and instead of leaving they waited in the car park until they got in the car and then pulled them over for a DUI. Perfect. Next one is titled, "I Won't Hold the Elevator Door for You." There is a middle-aged lady in the office who for some reason was mean to me when I started. She would make bad stories about me and even shouted at the whole office once that I have such a bad attitude and I don't deserve to be here and cursed at me. My manager and supervisor backed me up and talked to her, so she stopped harassing me for a while now, but I would still sometimes catch her giving me a dirty look. This morning, I got in the elevator when I saw her enter the lobby. She was bringing a lot of things with her so her hands were full. She shouted to hold the door for her. I would gladly hold the door for her if she wasn't such a witch, so I just pretended to push the open button as I watched her ran for the door, but oops, it closed before she even reached it. The thing is, we have 2 elevators but the other one is closed for maintenance. Our company building has 5 floors. Our areas are both on the 4th floor. Before reaching the 4th floor I pushed the 5th floor button so that the elevator will take long before reaching the ground. Minutes later, she arrived at her desk panting. Turns out it took a while before the elevator got down and for some reason she decided to just use the stairs. She kept talking about how annoyed she is the whole time and kept staring daggers at me, but oh well. At least she got a morning exercise. Next one is titled, Lady Never Picks Up After Her Dog, so I do it for her. I live in a nice neighborhood. My bedroom window looks out the front of my house and I usually have the blinds open during the day. Over the last month or so I have noticed a lady walking her dog past my house a lot. Ever since then, I have gone outside numerous times to see dog shit left right on the sidewalk merely 10 feet from one of those little doggy bag stands with the trash can. I got tired of this happening, so the other day when I noticed this lady walking by with her dog again, I watched the whole time. Sure enough, she stood there while her dog took a dump right on the sidewalk, and then she walked away without picking it up. I grabbed a bag, went outside, picked up the little gift she left, and followed a bit behind her until she was back at her house. Shortly after she walked inside, I walked up and proceeded to dump the quite smelly dog shit out of the bag onto her porch. I walked away. I haven't seen dog shit on my sidewalk since then. Next one is titled, We Trashed the Evil Lady's Car with a Dead Groundhog. Once lived in an apartment with my best friend, not a really nice place but the price was right. So our neighbor on one side was a middle-aged lady with 2 sons. Let's say 13 and 16 years old. These boys were all gothic out and kind of weird, but they seemed to be good kids. They were always outside sitting on our shared steps. After we had been there for a while we figured out why. Their mother was absolutely terrible to these boys. Through our thin walls, we could hear the daily verbal abuse, constant yelling, and name-calling. As a result, we hated this lady. She was a terrible person. We would occasionally let the boys come in and play video games or hang out for a few minutes if it was raining or cold so they didn't have to go home. Anyway, one night my friend and I get drunk and somehow find a freshly dead groundhog. This evil lady's car happened to be unlocked. It was some shitty 80s 4 doors. We gutted this dead groundhog and shoved it under her driver's seat. It was like the middle of summer. You can imagine the stench that must have come from that car. So the car did not move for 3 or 4 days. Then one day it is gone and we never saw it again. We didn't put much thought into our drunken plan and unfortunately, a few days later we heard the lady blaming one of the kids for the car. She didn't say a lot about it and of course, the kids didn't know a thing about it. This was years ago and I'm not proud of what we did, but that's not to say that Evil Witch didn't deserve it. Next one is titled, I set up the guy who cut me off in double turn lane to get speeding ticket. I'm in the outer left turn lane, other car is in the inner left turn lane. We are both first in line. The light turns green, we both begin to go. The guy on my left punched it and then merged into my lane mid-turn. Okay, maybe he needed to turn into the shopping center on the right, so I merge into the lane he was supposed to be in and accelerated to the speed limit 25. He doesn't turn into the first driveway or the second but matches my speed. Okay, the street as soon as the shopping center ends merges into one lane and at the same time has school zone lights flashing, which means you must drive 15 miles per hour through the school zone. This is my neighborhood, and when I left my apartment earlier there was a cop sitting in the semicircle driveway of the skilled nursing facility behind their big sign. When this happened in the turn lane I hoped the motorcycle cop was still there. I know that as soon as you cross those flashing lights you better be going 15 miles per hour. I made the guy think that I was trying to pass him, so he sped up and then I slammed on my brakes and did the 15 miles per hour. He actually put up his pointy finger inside the car and waved it like you do when you tell someone no. He never slowed down and drove straight past the cop, who immediately pulled him over. I turned right to go to my apartment and waved as I did. Next one is titled, Old Guy Complains About His High Sodium Then Calls Me Fat. So for context, I work in the deli at a popular supermarket. So of course we regularly cook fried and baked chicken as well as rotisseries. I was in the middle of breading some fried chicken when an older guy asked if we were going to have any more rotisseries coming out. I informed him I just put some in the oven and they'd be ready in about 45 minutes. Then he goes into a long rant about his doctor threatening to keep him in the hospital for a week if he didn't get his sodium down. He makes me stand there and listen to him explain everything his doctors have told him about his poor diet and shows me all the healthy foods in his shopping cart. A coworker told me after the fact he had a heart attack not too long ago. Mind you, I'm standing there wearing a disposable apron with my hands held up because they're covered in wet breading the entire time he's speaking. He talked so long that the wet breading on my gloves dried by the time I managed to get away from him. During our one-sided discussion, I told him I would be happy to set one of the rotisseries in the oven aside for him and hold it so he could have a fresh one when they're done. While he's ranting about his doctor's ridiculous diet restrictions, he says, "Heck, your stomach is bigger than mine." After I offer to hold one of our fresh rotisseries just for him. I could stand to lose about 20 pounds or so. I'm 6 feet and 195 pounds, but this guy's gut is literally hanging over his belt. So what did I do? I made sure to save one of the fresh chickens for him, but I made sure he got the smallest one in the oven. I mean, a smaller rotisserie means less sodium, right? Next one is titled, "Want to Rip Me Off Through eBay? Have a free gift." Back when eBay was young, you could find pretty much anything you desired for a reasonable price, and even rare and obscure stuff was available if you looked. I sold a few items on there, nothing too fancy or expensive, but did okay with it. Then eBay went all "customer always is right" on us smaller sellers. Anyone who bought stuff could claim it hadn't arrived, damaged etc. And eBay would side with them in 99% of cases. They got your item, eBay forced a refund, and as a seller you were screwed. As a way of a little petty revenge, I would send them a free gift of an Argos catalogue through the post, with only a first-class stamp on it. This would result in the Royal Mail refusing to deliver it as it obviously needed the extra weight of posting paying for. This meant the room would deliver a little red calling card to the recipient's address instructing them to attend the local post office, pay the extra £5 to £7 and collect the parcel. I wished I could see the look on their faces when they unwrapped their free catalogue. Edit. Argos was a large high street shop where you ordered an item from a large catalogue in store, and it would be delivered from the back in a few minutes. They supplied a carry-home version of the catalogue, which weighed around 3 kilograms and just about fit into a Royal Mail post box. Also known as the Laminated Book of Dreams. Next one is titled, "Fiery Revenge." I had a bit of revenge on my ex-wife. She left me for her ex-boyfriend that she had led us all to believe had died a year earlier. She had even gone to his funeral. After she moved away, she asked me to send her some things to Missouri from here in Idaho, including her wedding dress. I sent it and everything else she asked for. All in Ziploc baggies. Ashes weigh a lot less than actual clothing and stuff. It was a grand bonfire. The best part was she was actually planning on reusing the wedding dress. I laughed like a vile demon when I lit it up. We even took pictures and enclosed them to prove what we were sending. I haven't spoken with her since, and now I'm super happily married to a woman that is not crazy. Last one is titled, "Extra 30 a month." My downstairs neighbor at my old apartment was most likely an illegal dealer. He didn't have a job, and cars would come by at all hours of the day or night, often honk loudly. Then he or his girlfriend would run out and chat with them for like 5 minutes and the car would drive off. The slinging didn't bother me, but the honking at all hours did. It would wake my girlfriend and I up at all hours of the night. Frequently his clients and friends would be parked taking up 2 spaces when I came home from work, throwing off our already crowded parking scheme. His own vehicle was parked in such a way that if he had moved a few feet closer to the house we could have another spot, but his car didn't actually run so he couldn't move it. At one point, he started dating a woman with 3 kids, and when they were over they'd leave their bike and toys in the parking lot or in front of our steps so we'd have to dodge them in the morning. She also had a small dog, and while she was usually good about cleaning up its poo piles, she would still miss them from time to time. It was all minor annoyances, so I decided to pay him back in the pettiest way possible. Each floor paid for their own electricity. I knew our downstairs landing light was on his circuit since it worked before we set up power to our apartment and didn't work for the few weeks between the previous tenant moving out and him moving in. It was an old incandescent bulb, not an energy-efficient one like we had at the top of the stairs and throughout our apartment. After his friend took up 2 parking spaces for like 3 days when his truck died in our parking lot, I never turned that light off. It was probably costing him an extra $30 a month in electricity. Okay, pretty stupid, but I was really happy about it. Thanks for listening.